Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today what I've got in the shop is a Briggs & Stratton snowblower with a broken, stuck shear pin. So in today's video I'm going to show you how to remove that pin. Hopefully it's not too hard. And I'll start with a pin punch to do this. If things get worse, then I'll get a drill. If it's even worse, I will get my acetylene torches. So hopefully it's not that hard. Let's get right into the video. Here's the machine. It's a full Briggs & Stratton machine. One of the shear pins in the augers is broke. Specifically this one right here, so it's spinning freely. These are just shear pins that are put in with a clip, kind of like the MTD machines. So what I've done here is tilted the machine like this. It'll just be a lot easier to fix this. And to show you guys, I have put a piece of cardboard in case a bit of gas out of the carburetor leaks. Now when this happens, what you need to do is locate exactly where the old pin is by turning the auger and lining up things properly. If you don't line this up properly, what's going to happen is you'll be drilling or pushing with your pin punch in the wrong direction and causing more aggravation. Now if you do want to line up the pin to an easier location to work, you just have to turn the impeller, disconnect the spark plug before you do that, just for safety precautions. This one here is in a pretty good spot here. I may just move it just a tiny bit. Sometimes you might go to remove a pin and it's facing right at the bottom here, so you'll definitely have to move it. Another way to line up the broken pin properly for you is to hold down the auger lever with the switch off and just pull the engine over. It will turn this to the desired location. Okay, so I've disconnected the spark plug. I do want to line up the pin in a better position for myself, so I will just turn the auger in the reverse position. Now the other way, and here's that pin. I can actually see the old pin there protruding, so I'm going to line this up properly like that. Now the first tool to attack this problem is a 1/4 inch pin punch and also a 3/16 one. If the 1/4 inch is too tight in there, I'll use the 3/16. The reason I have these two punches here today is because sometimes the holes are in metric, and if you go to use a 1/4 inch punch, it might be too tight in there. And I've got a hammer. Now above and beyond your tools, guys, make sure to wear safety glasses. This is an absolute must. Okay, now that I've got the pin lined up here, I will just go in with my pin punch. And you got to keep checking because it's easy to get off the pin here. And this one's extremely tight. So before getting the drill out, guys, what I'm going to do is spin an entire 180 turn on this shaft here. I will try removing the pin from the other side. So sometimes it'll work on one side and not the other because the pin might be damaged. Now what can cause an issue sometimes is if it's really hard to get the auger to actually go over the pin. So now it's completely over. I'm on the other side. Let's see how that goes. Et voila, we got it off. Now I got off lucky today. It's not always this easy, guys. Like I said, if this didn't work today, I would have grabbed my drill with my best drill bits, drilled it out, and put a new pin in. If it was pretty near impossible to drill it out, sometimes I do heat them up and try the punch again. Now on these Briggs snowblowers, you can actually use the MTD pins or get the original Briggs ones as well. So what I will do here before putting in the new pin is spray some lube in there and spin it just so it gets on the shaft everywhere. And also when I put the pin in, there'll be some coated on the pin itself. I'm using ACF 50 today. You can use oil, anti-seize, grease, whatever you want. The reason I do that is so that the augers don't seize on the shaft and so that the pin itself doesn't seize on the shaft. And then just insert your pin back in. Doesn't matter which way you put it in. I just did it this way because all the other pins are in this way with the clips out. And that's all you need to do, guys. And while I'm at it, I will spray some lube on every pin here. It's just going to get in there and sit there. And you can also grease the bushings at the end. It saves wear and tear. Now before I end off this video, I want to show you that there are two other pins in the back right here. Sometimes they're just bolts. Sometimes they're special shear pins as well. So if you notice that your augers are turning, but the impeller's not turning and the snowblower's not blowing snow, what you need to do is go back here and check those. Now here's an MTD machine here. So what will happen is if your pins break, you will have a lot of snow in the back here and the impeller won't turn. So you may not even see the pins. On these older MTD machines right here, they have some spiral rolled pins. They hardly ever break. It's mostly on the newer Briggs that I see those pins break on the impeller, Toro, and Husqvarna machines. Now on these Briggs snowblowers, they have put a grease fitting on the auger gearbox, which is a very good idea. And while you're at it, you can inject a few squirts of low temperature synthetic winter grease in there. I'm using a Shell synthetic grease. I forget what it's called, but it's made to be good in the winter months. You don't need to go too crazy putting grease, but it doesn't hurt every year to put a few shots, because over time what happens is the grease inside the gearbox ends up on the outside, on the inside outer parts of the gearbox, and then there's no grease on the actual gears. So it's good to do that once in a while. If you rebuild your box, you just put the 00 grease or the Shell Alvania grease in that gearbox. And one last quick tip here. If you're not sure if your pins are broken, just grab each auger, and if they're locked like this, that means the pin is good. So they're all good. And if it spins freely, like it did with this one before I replaced it, that means that pin is broken. And the same for the impeller back here. If you can spin the impeller but the augers don't turn and the shaft doesn't turn, then you need to replace these pins right here. If you can spin the impeller and the shaft turns but the augers are not turning, then you have a problem inside the gearbox right here. Now there's a link in the comment section and the video description to where I actually remove a pin that is stuck by using torches. So if this trick doesn't work, I usually go to the torches or drill them out if I can. Now I just remembered I do have another tool here. It is a 1/4 inch bit that I put on my pneumatic air hammer, and you go right where the pin was. Instead of using the pin punch with the hammer, you use that air hammer and it hammers it out for you without having to do all the work yourself. That's another option that I often use. I didn't have to use that today, but you may want to keep that in your shop in case it happens. Thanks for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe and have a great day.